Do you think your program, so you did the Masters of Business for Veterans at USC, which is really cool. So I'd like you to talk about that so people kind of have an idea. I might actually take this clip and cut it out. So if you be as specific as you want, talk about the MBV program and why it's good for veterans, how it applies, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the program came about 10 years ago based off of an initiative from California where they wanted to have higher education for veterans more accessible, right? So they started this program, and basically Master of Business for Veterans goes through USC Marshall School of Business. So you get access to all of the same professors, the same quality of education, right, that USC Marshall MBA student would get. So very good reputation as a school, like great campus, all of that stuff.
Campus is real nice.
Yeah. We went up there for a football game at one time.
Yeah.
So it's all veterans. And it's interesting the like wide swath of veterans you get, right? Because me going into it, I thought that I would be the oldest dude at the program by far. Because if I went to a regular MBA, I'd definitely be, top 10% of the oldest people going through a program right now. But
really,
yeah, it's mostly like late 20s.
Oh, okay.
That go through it, So, but people of all different ages, all different experience levels. So, I mean, there were some guys that were E4s, got out, went to college, went and worked. Now, they're going to get their masters. I was in there with a colonel who was active duty still, like a colonel who had command at the time from the Marine Corps.
That's weird. That's crazy.
Yeah. A good dude. But that's how the program is, right? So there's all of these different people, and then you basically have a specific curriculum that you don't focus as much on the leadership aspects of an MBA program, right? Because they are looking at the type of people that go through, and they're basically identifying, like, you have leadership experience, so we're teaching you the business skills.
Yeah.
Right? So there is some leadership stuff, but it's mainly focused on a core business curriculum. Like finance, accounting, operations, all of those things to show you how the business world works, right? So you go through that. It's 2 semesters, and it was great up until COVID happened because we go up there twice a month on Friday and Saturday. So it was all day Friday. Most of the people who didn't live in LA would stay the night, and then all day Saturday, and then everybody would usually go home on Saturday evening, or if there's a football game, we'd go to the football game. So you got like a decent amount of the college experience with it still being an executive program.
Yeah.
So
and networking with people that are probably going to move into powerful positions.
Exactly. So that was the other thing I was going to touch on, is that the networking aspect of it is you're given access to the USC network, right? Which is super powerful, like in Southern California specifically.
Yeah.
But all over the country, there's people and the world who, like, the USC network's just very, very powerful to be able to get you, access to not necessarily a job, but other people who can help you get placed into a good position.
Yeah.
So
that's like a thing I've told people a lot about on the podcast. It's like, dude, even if you're not a people person, you need to build your network. Yeah. Like, I started a LinkedIn years ago, like while I was I was a sergeant, I think, while I was still in the Marine Corps. But I was like, this would probably be a good thing. And when I started meeting civilian contractors, I'd add them, and that's on the military side. But obviously having that already built and like professionally ready to go, like it looks good, transferring over to somewhere like USC, and then you start, continuing to network, like continuing to build that. There's no bad that can come from that.
No, and it's all your, like, every job that I have got has been through my network, right? And a lot of things, like, I've had some stuff that's fallen through, but it's from people that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, there's one guy who I was loosely friends with who was a Huey pilot in another squadron, and we went through, like, I think we went through WTI, or we were on a debt somewhere for, like, 3 or 4 months. And he ended up hooking me up with, like, access to people who I would have never had before. Like, talking about access to people who work at Apple, company Viasat
Mm-hmm.
in Carlsbad, like
Which is
all
getting
kinds-
bigger and bigger.
Yeah, like all kinds of like obviously Apple's Apple, but there are other companies that are growing. A couple startups down here, like guys that I would have never talked to them and like been offered positions or come close to being offered positions had I not had that network in place. Right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
So USC is great for that.
Exactly.
Can anybody apply to that program? Like, what's the requirements? You obviously have to have a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, you have to have a bachelor's degree. I want to say there's a minimum GPA, which I didn't meet. Thank God I had a great military career because I barely graduated college. But
that's funny.
So, but they basically like there's this. It's just like applying to any other program, right? And I forget what the minimum service time is, but if you did a full contract, you meet the
requirements.
Yeah, like there were some guys in there who they did like a 4-year reserve contract and they went to go be. There's a lot of cops, so people like that also go into the program because I didn't know this to be higher up in police departments now. I think to make captain, you have to have a master's degree.
Really?
Which was like,
I guess that kind of makes sense.
It makes sense.
So anyway, at USC though, like what are these classes that you're doing? You said you had to go twice a month, Friday and Saturday.
Yeah. So you're doing basic stuff like accounting, finance. There was some like management theory and principles classes.
Mm-hmm.
You have an operations class, which is where I was exposed to like data, how you would use data to make decisions, stuff like that, because that's what my undergraduate degree was in. So getting a good refresh on that was nice.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else, but it's basically like a standard MBA curriculum, right? So if you think about it, an MBA or an MBV in this case is not necessarily for somebody who comes from the business world.
Mm-hmm.
It's for somebody who is like an engineer
that
wants to go into management, right? Mm-hmm. So you're getting a broad view of everything that you would do in a business setting, right?
That way you have a basic understanding of your different departments.
Yes. So you're not doing accounting to be an accountant. You're doing accounting to be able to read accounting reports and not look like an idiot.
Yeah.
So, and stuff like that, right? And like finance, being able to understand like how companies are valuated, how different stocks and bonds and all that stuff works together for financing. So you can understand those decisions when you're managing a team or you need to finance something.
Did you use your GI Bill for this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I joined after college, so I didn't use my GI Bill at all. So I've still got like 2 years left on that thing.
That's legit. Yeah, I think I'm starting this week actually. My semester starts this next week, and I have 17 months left.
Really?
Yeah, but that's because I did a lot of classes while I was on ship. Like the second on RMU, I was as soon as I decided to get out, I was like, all right, I'm maximizing the classes. So I did 30 something credits in a year. While being active duty.
Which just shows how well that we were utilized, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I did maybe it was a year and a half. It might have been over. Anyway, I did a lot of college there. And then since I've been out, I started with 4 classes at Miracosta Community College. I was like, all right, I'm going to ease into this. So I did 4 classes. I'm like, this is not bad. So I added 5. Then I did 6. And I'm like, all right, fuck that. Now I'm back down to 5. But maximizing the amount of classes I'm doing has maximized the amount of GI Bill I have left. So I should have enough to, if I wanted to apply to a program like that, or something else later on, I can do that.
17 months, that could get you through a whole 2-year master's program.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And I'll have my voc rehab also.
Yeah, because the semesters are about 5 months long. So yeah, you'd be able to go 2 more years.
Yeah, it's cool.
That's legit.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of guys use the GI Bill just to make money, man. They'll sign up for these like diploma mill colleges, and just they're just doing it to get the extra BAH money. But it's like, for me, I'm like, if you're using it, you go use it. Like, do it for real. Like, get something out of it. Like, don't waste it. That's an opportunity that so many people would like kill to have. Free college at anywhere you want to go. Yep. As long as you can get in. And so for me, it's like, dude, I can't waste this. So I've been trying to take you can see some of my textbooks are up there, like Europe. That was my modern Europe course, talking about Napoleon all up till now. So that was interesting. Yeah, it's good stuff. But it's important, man.
That is one thing with the MBV program is the curriculum is set. So there's no electives.
Yeah.
Right. So
there's no bullshit. It's trimmed down.
You just go and like they split the class. We had a 90-ish, and it just got split in 2 parts. And in the morning you would do accounting, and then somebody else would be doing management, and then you would switch professors. So there's no electives at all.
How do you feel about the course now? Like, totally worth it?
Yeah.
Like, what was the most beneficial thing? What was the least beneficial thing?
The most beneficial thing by far was the network. And, like, I knew that going into it. And granted, we were in, like, an exceptional circumstance. Like, I was just getting my feet wet into, like, the banking world when COVID hit. Because that was somewhere that I really wanted to go. And then everything, like I said, everything just kind of, like, poof. Went away, you know? So, but I made a lot of good contacts with that if I ever want to re-pursue that. And I'm working for a financial company right now, so still going down that path, but by far the network. So
what was your least beneficial thing?
That's a good question. I'm trying to answer this.
Just because it's least beneficial doesn't mean it's not beneficial. It's still a good thing.
Yeah.
And it would probably vary per person.
Yeah, there was just, I would say some of the coursework, it wasn't that it was bad. It was just, I've taken like accounting before, right? So that was just, it was more or less like annoying for me to go through an accounting class, right? Because
which for me would be good.
Right. So there was like a lot of my friends in the course, they were like, what are you saying? This is like, how do you understand this stuff? And I was like, because I did it 10 years ago, and I had to take like 5 classes in accounting to graduate with my business.
And math doesn't change.
Right. Exactly. So I would say that that's probably the least beneficial thing.
Yeah. But that's based on the person. Yeah,
exactly,
for sure.
Right. And there wasn't anything where I was like, oh my God, this is awful.
Yeah.
Right, related to the course. It was
you just enjoyed all of it.
Yeah. It was good. And I mean, you're generally, I imagine that the cohort that's going through right now, you know the type of people that you're going to get, right? It's veterans. And so if you've been a veteran, you know the slice of people that are going to be there. Like, you're going to find the people that you get along with best.
Yeah.
And like
from all branches too.
Yeah. Like I've got I have 2 groups of about 5 or 6 people that I'm just like really solid friends with.
That's cool.
So like one of them we get together about once a month. Well, we used to get together once a month. The holidays kind of threw that off. And then, I mean, I golf with the other guys probably once every 6 weeks.
That probably helped your transition out too, right? Like being in a group of like veterans, but you're not doing military stuff. You're doing like civilian, like regular shit. Kind of ease you back into the civilian world.
Yeah, no, it was good because just going straight into the business world, because I basically got out, did the reserves, and I did the reserves. I treated it as a full-time job because I was looking for something
a full-time
else,
job.
right?
Yeah.
So I basically stopped doing the reserves the week after I started at PayPal. So it was like jumping directly into it. So this was a good kind of reset.
That had to have been weird.
It was so weird. So
did you feel like awkward, like even talking about stuff, like anything?